everything.
80, 160 there, just pretty much straight south. Or it might have been half an hour. Just pretty much straight south.
Leave your shoes.
These microphones are going wonky.
What are you doing? You would help. Are you ready? Guys all set? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and we'll go ahead and call the Pulaski County Advisory Plan Commission regular session meeting to order, and we'll start with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we, or do you want to wait before this? Yeah, we'd like to welcome Rick Fox as our Extension Board appointee tonight. Welcome, Rick. And then can I get an approval of the agenda for tonight?
I'll motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We don't need to do an approval of the minutes, and we're going to jump right into old business, battery energy storage, text review.
Okay, so letting everybody know, so this is the document that we started on a couple months ago, the one you got last week. There are many clerical errors in it. It is not in organized fashion whatsoever. I wanted to make sure that you at least have the language in here beyond what you'd already had seen. A lot of the language that you had recommended to approve for the solar language that's consistent with battery storage, dropping that information in here. So you will see that a lot of the language is the same in regards to the application process, such as the type of site plan requirements, wanting to see gates, wanting to get a road use agreement, drainage agreement, economic development agreement, emergency response plan, a safety plan, security plan, decommissioning agreement. That language is included in all of these documents, or all in this text. Now, there will be some adjustments from drainage and road use agreement beyond or less than what's in solar presently, or recommendations for solar, simply because these projects are a lot smaller. So in talking with Jenny and Gary, they are wanting to review with some other ordinance language and go out and tour another facility. And I wanted to ask if your board was interested in going out to a larger facility as opposed to the NIPSCO project, because that's fairly small. And so I didn't know if you felt you'd be interested. We could probably break it up in 2 groups, or if we had to, just to save time, since you had asked to have your extension on your moratorium at our last meeting, to extend it for an additional 6 months. And Monday evening, I will go to the commissioners on your behalf to request that extension. So if it's approved, then essentially we only have 6 months to complete this project. So if doing 1 tour, and just for legality's sake, potentially, I don't know, I haven't talked to the attorney, classify it as an executive session, because the tour takes a few hours. And I know everybody's schedule is very busy during the daytime, during the week. So would you all be interested in getting a tour scheduled for a battery storage facility? Okay. All right. So going back to how the text reads, So you'll see, and a lot of this language has already been in here for a couple months. Like I said, the standard application process, and both attorneys, the county attorney and your attorney, have seen this to this point, and we're waiting on a little bit more review from them. And since, again, the facility is extremely different than a large commercial solar facility, so this isn't obviously something you are voting on, but it's just some language to get put in here so we have a document of record that you did discuss these in a public meeting. So application process, like I said, very similar to with solar, requiring a site plan and all the different plans that are part of a commercial solar project. You will see on page 3 for number 5 at the top of the page, retrofits to an existing wind or solar facility, they still would need to apply for this application. Your board, the last time we spoke in detail on this, had requested to make this a special exception process. Do you feel that that is something you still wish for battery storage be a special exception? Okay, that is at the bottom of page 1, number 3. So again, page 2, part of page 3 is permit process. This is language that is cut from the solar ordinance for section 7 for the application. For the most part, in most areas, I did try to change where it read solar. So if you see solar, that's not, I just cut and paste quickly so you could see your documents. I'm sorry, I was in a 4-hour meeting today. Kept me a little occupied on getting more information to you. Page 4, again, same language in regards to, we'll probably want to clean some of this up if it needs to be adjusted, like I said, to coordinate with battery storage. So your intent, applicability, notification process would be the same as you had stated for solar, which is also the very similar process as to special exceptions on how the notification needs to get submitted. Stating that a notice needs to be mailed out to anybody within a 1/4 mile of the project, and it needs to be submitted 30 days of submitting 1 or more applications for a battery storage permit, and then additional notifications shall be done via media, separate mailing, or additional public notice requirements as prescribed by Indiana Code 531. Application process, stating that permit and special exception has to follow the process of section 2.3S, which presently 2.3S, as the ordinance reads, is for administrative appeals, but we will adjust that and move it down and have battery storage language for the application after solar. Conflicts of law, saying if there are any conflicts, then whatever provision is the strictest and protects the county the most appropriately, then that provision will govern. Fee schedule, top of page 5. General regulations, and this language reads also as it does in solar for 1 permitted districts, 2 for the floodway. Obviously, nobody can build in a DNR FEMA regulated floodway. So number 3, where I have it highlighted, is something that we had talked about a little bit and wanted to see if anybody had some additional information since we last spoke in regards to coverage areas. So it's reading, no single battery storage facility footprint shall exceed a total land coverage of 20 acres, inclusive of all associated equipment, access roads, and required setbacks as calculated by the USDA. and it shall not cover less than 5 acres and no more than 20. So those two figures, the acreage, were figures that, like I said, we had left open a little bit for discussion. And if anybody had reviewed any of this, if you had any insight you'd like to offer to the board. So if there are areas like this that you're uncertain on, we've started a battery storage chart that I think we have about 10, 12 counties in it right now, that we will add different areas. So if this is an area of concern, then we will make sure that if it's not already, I think it is in the chart, it's just not here right now. So do you have anything to add, offer?
So it's a chart like comparing
It is.
the county government. Yeah.
Want me to add this to the chart? And this is something I will get to tomorrow. Okay, if no one has anything else to add, for farmland preservation, to facilitate the preservation of ag land, the total cumulative acreage devoted to battery storage coverage throughout the county shall be limited to a maximum of so many acres. Did anybody do any reviewing on this for a maximum number of acreage? Is this something you want to make sure is on the chart?
I think it should be, yeah.
Agreed. Okay, safety design and installation, this may not necessarily be 8.3. So this again is basically, honestly, cut and paste from solar, to make sure that everything is commercially available equipment conforming to industry standards and designed from the underwriters' laboratories. And that would be submitted with their application. So perimeter fencing, 6 feet, no less than 6 feet, unless there's some federal standard NEC code that would regulate otherwise. So perimeter fencing, the top of page 6, perimeter fencing shall be a minimum of 300 feet from non-participating property lines and center of road. So now here's a topic of discussion. 300 feet was something that we had opened up. So this would basically be your setbacks from the fence to a non-participating property line.
Maybe 1,000 or more.
What was it?
The setback.
The
From
setback
the house.
on the batteries?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the fence.
From the fence.
Fence to the property line.
Any other discussion from anyone? And this screening won't be as drastic again as solar. I think the one we went to was 5 acres, maybe. Fencing shall not include barbed wire, electric fencing, or razor wire except where required by NEC standards. Now, I am going to tell you that I do believe that the surrounding fence of a battery storage does need to be a hot fence. So I would want to verify the NEC language in that.
Make it be what fence?
It was, the fence was hot. It was a live fence.
Really?
Electric.
People.
It was,
Being humane.
For people or livestock?
but again, that's something that for the National Electric Code, I would want to verify that. I don't feel that's something that we could delegate out on.
So you can intentionally put a fence up that's electric to keep people out?
I don't
Isn't
think
that
the
like a-
prisons are even
Isn't that
like,
like a booby trap? Just-
Entrances locked with a lock box, include a sign showing names and phone numbers of the utility provider and site operator and emergency contact, and GPS coordinates. All gates clearly labeled on the site and shown on the site plan, which is, that language is in your application process.
Is the 300 feet going to be on that little chart too?
Yes.
Okay.
So wind resistance, I don't know that we necessarily really have to worry about a batteries in the wind. Even with snow loads, but in the structures that I inspect, I've had to worry about snow loads. I don't, again, feel we need to worry about that. But I wanted to offer that language in there anyway. Sign language is the same as solar, saying that signage is required per NEC standards, danger and high voltage. There is another section for signage towards the back here, and that is involving more of stating, like you had voted for solar, that they have to be UV resistant and they can't be spray painted, they can't be on plywood, they can't have temporary paper signs, that it has to be approved by the Indiana, whatever the state's manual is for signage. So landscaping and screening. So I believe I had spoken with you when I had spoken to an engineer who said a berm would be of good interest to have surrounding the battery storage facility, because in the unfortunate event that this facility explodes, that it would most likely, obviously there'll be damage, but it would, with a berm, it's going to protect it. It will explode more up than out. I know it's got a drop, but at least if you had a berm, it's more effective, like I said, on going out. So this was from an engineer who had said he went to another county plan commission meeting and they had talked about it in that meeting. So he said he thought that information would benefit us. So you can get more information in regards to that screening for berm, or I can get the actual documentation on it and share it, or you can do some investigating on it to see if it's something that you feel would be beneficial as opposed to just tree screening.
Well, and this kind of talks about combustible vegetation, so I
Yes.
don't know what kind of, the berm makes more sense.
Sure. So in the facilities that I've seen, the ground is just gravel.
Yeah.
And so then they have to be required to keep that, well, like Abby just read, to keep all the vegetation out of the gravel area around from the batteries. So they're not going to have a battery and trees between the fence and the battery facilities. So then going on for screening, a minimum of 2 rows of trees no further than 25 feet apart, separated no less than 6 feet. Screening to include tree, shrubs, berms, or related landscaping. And then same language as in solar, all property owners subject to the benefits of this section retain the right to waive the planning requirements unless such planning is designed to provide screening between the battery storage facility and a public roadway or a non-participating property owner. And then developer will maintain the landscape buffering. And I would like to put a lot more detailed language in this, like we do in the solar language. Height shall not exceed 20 feet. Some ordinances I had seen, it was 20, 18, 22, 24, 26, but it seemed like around 20, and based on the height of them, they will probably no more than 10 feet. I don't feel they need it to be beyond 20 feet. Page 8, talking about cables, feeder lines being buried where possible, overhead lines, inverters. Inverters shall be a minimum of 500 feet, which if you're saying you want the fence to be 1,000 feet, then obviously 500 wouldn't work for that. So do you feel you even want language to specify how far inverters should be if the fence setback is 1,000?
I'm seeing Jasper County's got a quarter mile, so 1,320 feet, with a
1,300.
1,000-foot setback for their fence.
I don't see any reason to be less than what they are.
Yeah.
They also have a requirement of the berm to be 3 foot tall with a 3-to-1 slope with
Yes, 3-to-1 slope,
with
yes.
shrubs and trees planted on it.
Yes. Okay, so we've got, as I was saying, that you're gonna see some duplicate language in here. But the first section was about the perimeter fence, but now what could be, which would be setbacks, page 8 in the middle, non-participating property owners. So that's not 500, obviously, again. And you're wanting the inverters a quarter and then the fence 1,000?
Yes.
Okay. So we will remove on A where it says component and just be the property lines. Then the right of way. So right of way must be 500 feet from the nearest edge of any component of the battery storage facility to the nearest edge of the public right of way. Now, one thing we would need to know is what their requirement is for keeping their equipment distanced from the fence, inside the fence. Because if we need, this needs tweaked, letter B, to get more concrete language in regards to how far you would want the screening to be, and which, if we're recommending a berm, and I actually want to see that drawn out with a slope. Because we don't, in talking with the highway superintendent, we don't want anything, we don't want a berm close to the road, obviously. So this figure for B would, if the fencing setback's 1,000 feet, then I wouldn't see why this figure couldn't be further than 500. Because we're obviously going to want the berm closer to the battery storage facility than the road. So fire safety and emergency response plan, this is the same language as we have in the solar ordinance. However, there is additional language in here that pertains to national fire protection standards, that it's more strict and more regulated, and obviously more specific to battery storage. So operations and maintenance, if there's any, saying if they're doing any major changes, they'll have to reapply. If there's any maintenance or like-kind replacements, then that would just be part of their general maintenance. Lighting, same language as in solar. Noise, same language for solar. And same for outdoor storage. Questions, comments so far? Page 10, material handling, solid waste and hazardous materials. And then we would require a battery storage facility operator to submit an annual report in regards to repairs, maintenance, any complaints they've received, the resolution, if there were any emergency service calls. Underground utility markings, so wherever lines they are burying, we are requiring them to mark those. Top of page 11, code compliance. So you'll see the physical modifications is a duplicate. Like I said, there's a lot of extra in here because I wanted to make sure I didn't miss something and I did not clean that up. So physical modification is duplicate. Well and septic, saying that if there's any well or septic on the facility, as we do in the building department, anybody who requests those, they have to go through the health department first, which usually requires soil studies and an approval through the state of Indiana before a building permit can be issued. Then the natural disaster mitigation and restoration plan. And then declaration of public nuisance, which I have. This will end up getting moved for more of the clerical side of things to clean all this up. So declaration of public nuisance would probably go in around, so presently it's page 17, remedies. So that would end up getting moved there. So if it's declared a public nuisance, then consequences involved in that, but still staying on page 11, which now page 12. Safety certification, they'll conform to applicable industry standards, including those of NSI, and I have a couple more federal organizations I want to include in that. And then the equipment needs to be certified. I will have more language in regards to battery in this. Types of batteries, specific requirements for these batteries. Site certification, NEC, again, is delegating a lot of requirements that we will follow for this. So there are some organizations that we would be requesting certification and authorization from them before they can submit their permit application documents. Interference. I personally would like to understand more, get more information in regards to what if they transmit anything beyond any of these concerns listed on here. Pre-construction requirements. This is stating that the documents, as I had mentioned in the permit application, decommissioning plan, and economic development agreement, drainage agreement, road use agreement on page 14. Stormwater management plan. Again, with the language of declaration of public nuisance, that's in here 2 times. Like I said, I was cutting and pasting. Discontinuation and abandonment. And I am not sure, do any of you have any information in regards to energy collection? I don't know for the discontinuation after 1 year without energy collection. I don't know that 1 year may be excessive. So that's a flag to consider. And then a lot of this language also mirrors the solar ordinance. And the removal on 15, which presently it's number 5, I feel like this will probably have its own page for removal, also will pertain to decommissioning as well. So I have in 15, I was starting a chart in regards to groundwater monitoring, soil certification. Don't necessarily need the construction requirement and post-construction. We already have some of that language. I just skimmed through. So I am studying some EPA documents right now in regards to what we can involve with them. I personally feel it would be important to have groundwater monitored and soil studied at least every couple years, if not annually, because I don't know what the inside of one of those looks like, but I know what the back of my remote looks like when I've had a battery leak and damage my table, and that battery's this big. So I feel those 2 are very important topics to consider some detailed information on. And like I said, every couple years, if not annually. And with that being said on this, staying on this, so if anybody has any information you'd like to share with it, we do have further on where they do have to, as we had requested for commercial solar, that they do have to, like I said, the annual maintenance report, and they would tell us specific information. We could include this in the maintenance report, each of these, the water testing and soil.
I think it'd be wise to require a subsurface liner to help keep contamination.
To require,
A subsurface liner.
yeah. Do you want to elaborate on that? Or do you, or just
It would
require, and then
keep
we look it up?
Contamination at the surface level.
Yes, yeah. So,
Most of them have a lead floor in them, I think.
yeah, they do. So, it's concrete, it's gravel, it's concrete, the steel, lead, whatever floor, and then, so the batteries are in like a storage container type situation, but let me add that.
And they can't do that.
I was thinking if we're talking about testing groundwater.
Yep.
Somewhere we can add this.
And what was that, Mike? I'm sorry.
And they can't go outside the container.
They do have, the two that I've seen, they do have them, they're sealed. Now, again, I didn't walk in there, but
I just think any added safety measures would be wise.
Absolutely.
Nothing is indestructible.
right. And because it is sealed so well, how do we know what is happening in there unless they have somebody opening them up every half hour? Okay, so continued information based on solar, again, for traffic management, no road closures exceeding 20 minutes. Notification needs to get submitted. Highway superintendent needs to approve detours and any closures. They need to have signage for any of the closures. And here, I didn't say the acronym right, IMUTCD is what we use for signage standards. Parking and vehicle access, stating that they have to park in designated areas and stay out of the public right-of-ways. Here is the detailed signage language where I was stating they can't be spray painted, can't be handwritten. There has to be signage at entrances and exits. They have to be weatherproof, UV resistant. All gates, like I mentioned earlier, lockbox with key. There would be a final inspection done, and that would be with an electrical engineer. Remedies, breach of compliance. So if they are not following certain laws and they're found to be in breach of our agreement, then they would have, since it's a special exception, then it would go to the BZA and they would have a written formal notice saying, basically, if you don't fix this in 30 days, then your project shut down. So if the developer were to come back and say, we're working on this, here's the problem, and then it would go back to the board who would determine if it's legitimate or not and offer them an additional 60 days from that. If they fail to abide by that, then they would start the decommissioning proceedings that would be set forth in the decommissioning agreement. So that's a little bit similar to how solar is, saying that if they stop, as your solar ordinance recommendations read, it states for 12 months if they stop with energy production. So similar to that, but 40, 60 days instead of a year. So talking about them replacing any damage to any roads, then them submitting as-built plans, which would be stamped by a certified engineer. Any notice of change in ownership needs to be submitted to the county. And then here's that annual operations and maintenance report where it discusses maintenance, repairs. And then it needs to be annually certified. And then they would also do an annual landscape screening assessment and submit that to the county, complete with any fence issues, any vegetation, if anything has any health issues, anything diseased, it's been replaced. If they plan any maintenance or upgrades, they need to let the building inspector know at least 90 days prior to the start of any of those upgrades. Emergency repairs, force majeure, similar to the language reading in commercial solar. In speaking with an attorney in regards to this, there was some concern. So the attorney's looking into this, the county attorney is. So if there's an act of God and your property's damaged and it blows into your neighbor's property, this situation, like with solar, for example, is a little different. If we tell them work has to get done in such amount of time, there could be some issues with insurance in regards to what insurance is telling them needs to get done, in regards to maintaining other people's property also. So what the attorney did tell me in that aspect is most insurance plans, hopefully anyway, if your property damages your neighbor's property, then it should be covered to replace it. But he's looking into specifics on this because when we had talked about solar with the decommissioning, this is with the attorney, not us. I had asked if you're telling them this window to decommission it because of an act of God, does that also include the cleanup? Because our decommissioning in our ordinance reads 12 to 24 months. So if the property needs decommissioned because of an act of God, are they going to be allowed to not clean up for 12 to 24 months? That language needs to be separate completely, because I don't believe the electrical side of things is one thing, the generation is one thing that could take 12 months, but it should not take 12 nor 6 nor 4 or 3 months to clean up the mess. So the attorney is looking into that. I wanted to share that with you because I feel that was important to let you know that we may need to have a cleanup for the acts of God sections altered. And I mean that even for solar also, even though you just had voted on putting that in there, we just may need to have another meeting soon to tweak that a little bit. Also, I didn't want to bring up solar during battery storage, but I'm going to forget. And I want to tell you that in where they mark where we had requested that they mark the utility lines. So we have that. You're recommending it. It will be submitted to the commissioners Monday, but in talking to the attorney, we feel it would probably be better if they mark it as they will add the lines instead of at the end. Because what if another company comes in and is installing and they don't know what this company just installed? So I would like to recommend that your board add during, and I don't know specifically how to word it, but to say that they'll mark it as they add the lines instead of just they're going to mark the lines, because that's basically how it reads now. You will mark the lines, but the recommendation doesn't specify during construction.
We'll just put it as being installed.
Yes, during installation. Yes, thank you very much. So do you all feel that that's okay as something for solar? That as they're installing the lines, they will mark them, not mark them when installation is complete? Because honestly, they could be installing for a couple miles and it won't get done for months.
Well, everywhere I work, they made us mark the yellow ribbon right on top of us as we went. I mean, there was no coming back and doing it.
Well,
and it had to be 2 foot above the buried line.
And do you mean like the wood stakes before they permanently installed the marks?
These are just the things that says caution, no digging, buried cable.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, that's better than what Mammoth is doing, because they said they'll mark the lines when they're done with the project, when the construction's done. So, they had some wood stakes that were marked, but those, or it could be anything, yeah.
That don't seem right.
That doesn't
I know.
sound very safe.
Right,
Most of the trenchers has got a ribbon that.
A ribbon layer with it.
Yeah, exactly, it lays about 2 feet above it.
yeah, well, they're, like I said, they're
think
marked with
they're
some of the plastic strips, and then some have the wood stakes. But then also, you don't know if that wood stakes for where they're gonna put their fence, or did somebody get their property surveyed, or, so I would like to recommend that they have the permanent markings installed as they install it.
Was this a code you had to follow?
Yeah, when we buried cable, I mean,
Wouldn't anybody else have to follow the same code?
yeah.
You would think
just-
so?
But we were usually having hazard materials,
Oh, yeah.
you know, fuel and stuff.
So Mike, then with what you know, so then would it be different if they have them in casings based on when they have to mark it?
Well, I thought just you had to mark it
Regardless.
right? I know we did a job at the state hospital once, and they, we hit a line that was already there, and it wasn't marked properly, and they took us to court, and they said, cost us, I think, $1,500, said it wasn't marked properly, and they didn't have an inspector there, so they just kind of threw our case out. And they wanted, we got a telephone line, blah, blah.
Well, I know it's not I had said Mammoth had said they'll mark it when they're done, but Gary has said that when they've dug up culverts, they've hit lines that they didn't know existed because other companies aren't marking their lines either. And then they don't know if it's a live line or not, or an active one, whatever. So,
So you always call 811 before you do.
I know, yeah,
Yeah.
Because then if they don't properly mark it,
right. Okay, so I know, I'm sorry, I went off in a different direction. Cleanup and disposal for the acts of God. This again is what I was telling you, talking to the attorney on, to verify how they can make sure that that language stays separate from insurance guidelines. Cleaning up hazardous materials. I'm gonna say that maybe we should include the EPA in this also. EMA would have high involvement in this section. And I've talked to her a little bit on it, and so she said she could get additional information for you.
you're gonna wanna involve the EPA. 'Cause it's hazardous.
Yes. Yeah, that's why I said I think we need to add EPA here. I know we've got IDEM in here. Okay, so now fee schedule. You said that's in. So on the bottom of page 19, is fee recommendations, and then on page 21 also. So if you wanted to consider how you voted for the solar fee, so it's a $15,000 application fee and then $1,000 per megawatt. There is a 20, I think, do you remember a $20,000 administration fee? There's also a decommissioning fee. Remember, Tyler? You argued that a little bit and you got it.
Did they ever
Do you
pay us?
remember what that fee was?
Did they ever pay?
Do you what?
Did they
Oh,
ever
well, we have not received a permit since, that fee became, county ordinance. So as it stands right now, the permit fee for commercial solar is $15,000 application fee and $1,000 per megawatt. And then, whatever that other fee is, 15,000, 20,000 for administration. And then there's, like I said, a decommissioning fee also. So some counties have a permit application fee of $500, and I will tell you that that's probably the special exception fee. One county, the fee is $1,750 per megawatt.
You have Jasper on there?
Yeah, but that is not one column filled out for them. Yeah, no, that's not filled out.
I'm trying to look it up.
Do you have it pulled up?
Got the UDO pulled up. I can find their fee schedule.
I didn't, when I was in their ordinance, I couldn't see the fee in it, so, but I didn't look for
And they may
it.
have the fee schedule in some other area that encompasses the different.
Yeah, a lot of them don't have the fee in their ordinance itself.
They do require them to carry a fixed site pollution liability insurance.
Yeah, oh, yeah, definitely. We will have the liability language in there also, which I think I honestly skipped over it.
Yeah, I think it's in there.
And it does look like they've got the property value guarantee.
Jasper?
I'm not seeing the fees. But give me a second.
White County, while we're looking at other ordinances, they have it considered a discontinued use after 180 days.
Like abandoned? Or-
They say, battery storage projects shall be considered a discontinued use after 180 days without energy output unless a plan's developed and submitted to White County Plan Department outlining steps and schedule for returning the project to service. Which is, that language is similar to our language in regards to the 12 months for battery storage, and then me not sure what we want to do for battery storage. So that's 6 months, and I had put in there for default the 30 days and then 60, so 90 days. So they have 180 as this is typed, just for us, like I said, putting this language on record, 90 days. Let me look.
Their best fees are the same as solar,
Okay.
based on the kilowatt.
Here's Montgomery County is 6 months. And then within 12 months after receiving a notice, as I had mentioned in our potential language, it's considered abandoned. Their permit fee, 21 to 100 acres. It's a $500 application fee, and then 21 to 100 acres, it's an additional $300. And then over 100 acres, it's an additional $150 every 100 acres. Yeah, that would be a massive battery.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, multiple, but
Ginormous.
that
Yeah.
would be. In regards to decommissioning for the bond, I would like to put a lot of put the executing responsibility on the council. Bond for decommissioning, recommend to say 125% of the value of the project. I would also like to suggest that wherever, if there are any financial figures in place in regards to bond, maybe not necessarily liability, but putting inflation cost in. Making sure that the decommissioning agreement has language in there pertaining to road use repairs during decommissioning. Like we had talked about for solar, we needed to make sure that we had language that protects the roads during decommissioning, to make sure that the road use agreement, which would have figures, amounts, dollar amounts in there to replace roads. A road 5 years ago that cost $300,000 probably costs $375 now. I just whatever maybe, but then again, in 30 years from now, joking but not joking, in 30 years from now, what if we have floating cars and now we've lost all that money to repair when we need our tunnels created or something? But so we need language in there to reflect that the value of these things will progress as, like I said, as inflation does.
You can put a percentage of escalation per year, or
What's that?
you could put like an escalation percentage.
We did that on solar, didn't we?
With the fee schedule?
Or, no, on something. We did it on
On the
something.
road, the price is supposed to go with inflation.
Yeah, for the road replacement. Yeah, so in the road use agreement. But I think you might be thinking of the fee schedule. Because the operation fee that is 5% now, you voted to increase it to 10% and the commissioners approved that.
Crazy.
Because we did discuss inflation on that and how to alter that. But I don't think, Tyler, that language actually did get put in the fee schedule. But that's something to consider for this fee schedule. Do you want to add, you had mentioned the property value guarantee, do you want to add property value guarantee to battery storage? Majority?
Mhm.
I have 2 property value guarantees. I don't know the age of them, and I don't know what counties they're from, but I will send those over to you.
Did you say you were gonna send us that chart tomorrow?
Well, yes. Yeah.
Oh,
If you want to, there's another one, and Because all three of us have been working on this, so I want to consolidate everything. But if you feel like skimming through this and looking,
Man, I'm getting older, I can't,
You want to buy folk?
I might need them.
I can't see that even with my both bifocals.
How many of these counties currently have a moratorium on solar or batteries?
there are actually several for solar. I don't officially know all for battery storage. Do you know for battery storage? Most of them for solar are also for battery. Actually, they're also for data.
How many, I'm just, I guess how many counties in Indiana have decided they're not even gonna allow batteries? Do you have any idea?
With a lot of them, I know of 7 counties. I think probably half of those on there that have limited information because they have a moratorium right now.
Lighting in here is terrible.
Because they have a moratorium, because there's a moratorium on a lot of those, I don't know what the language is gonna say, Tyler. There it is.
That's plenty.
Can't get much better than that.
I'm telling Nathan you messed with the lights.
You can see it's decent. Did you find some good info, Abby?
Oh, yeah, there are a few. But I just used AI to do it, so just saying.
Here's another ordinance that's saying decommissioning after 6 months, then giving them 6 months to remedy. And for the most part, I'm seeing that requiring the groundwater studies and soil studies annually isn't too far off from what other ordinances have. So, Brian, you didn't find much on fees?
I did, but did you want me to read them?
Oh.
I sent them to you, but they've got them 0 to 10 kilowatts is 150, 11 to 50 is 300, 51 to 100 is 600, 101 to 500 is 1200, 501 to 1000 is 2750, 1001 to 2000 is $6,000, and over 2000 is 6,000 plus $200 for each additional 1,000 kilowatts. Their special exception fee is $500.
So a special exception fee with BZA is $500 flat
For us, or, I mean, yeah.
for BZA.
Well,
yeah.
that's
So-
just for them. They've got different special exception fees for different things.
So then you're, obviously then you're
anybody have any comparison, like, how big is a 10 kilowatt facility versus a 2,000, like? Because I also noticed they limited their maximum acreage to 10, and we're looking at 20.
Well, just to let you know, I don't know if this would say, I can get it. Mm, 10 kilowatt on Amazon.
Well, I mean, I wonder what the typical size is for these, because that's where you really need to have your fees substantial.
Looks like Stark has 15 acres. That's right.
Before they banned it.
Jasper 16.
I was seeing 10 on Jasper, like on their UDO.
Yeah, and she's still updating the site
Right.
to like stick that back on Carla, trying to keep up with it.
So 20 to 40 kilowatts will hold storage to power a medium home, 40 to 80 a large home. So,
Well, it says typically a 2,000 kilowatt battery storage facility typically fits within a single 20-foot or 40-foot ISO high cube shipping container.
So how
So
big?
on acres, you can have
2,000?
several of these.
lots of.
I don't know if there's requirements that they have to be spaced so far apart. Or develop, or national standards go.
How many acres did you say Starks was?
They banned it.
But what are they, because
They
I know
were
over
15.
there, that's saying capacity is at 56.3 megawatt.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
15 is the
megawatt.
lowest on here.
We're talking kilowatts.
Kilowatts.
I recommend we just ban them and we don't have to worry about it.
A lot quicker.
I'll second that. Add data centers in on that ban.
Well, there's obviously a reason Stark County's doing it
Yeah,
after they already had it.
yeah.
Yeah, they tried it out and didn't like it.
Who all wants to ban them?
Good with me.
We don't need something like that. It sounds pretty hazardous to me.
okay, how the wind ban happened. So when I wrote my notice to the commissioners and it said APC votes to recommend to ban wind facilities, I got yelled at and the board got yelled at. And they said that's not how it works. So when they did the language for wind, they put reasons that made it unsafe and unhealthy for the community, for residents, for the birds, the cranes flight, and because of Jasper, Pulaski. So things to consider in regards to health measures, obviously, battery leakage.
Yeah.
If you guys would be willing to do some, or if you've got some
I can
stuff
get
right
you
now
a
to
real
share.
long list.
Yes, I would love that. So then, if this is something that you feel we could accomplish, then
My big thing is it has to be based on facts. So like we need to do our research along with Carla about things based on facts, not just because we don't want it.
Well,
So
these batteries are a little scary.
I understand. I worry about the emergency response folks. So, but we need to, we can worry about things though. I worry about things that aren't justified sometimes. And so we need to be able to justify our information to be able to get back to the commissioners. Otherwise, they will send it back and say, like Carla said with the windmills, like, try it again, guys. And so I think if Carla got this started with the information, I think that we need that chart that she started for us too. And then we need to jump in and do a little research on our end to justify what we're trying to ask them to do.
yeah, and if there's any studies that you find, any colleges that have done anything, EPA, IDEM, anybody with credible information to contribute to it. Let me read you prohibition for wind energy. In the name of protecting, and this is 7.1 F2, in the name of protecting and promoting the health, safety, and general welfare of the residents of Pulaski County in light of concerns regarding negative impact on the value of property and because of threats to migrating birds and bats, commercial WECS shall be a prohibited use within the planning and zoning jurisdiction of Pulaski County. Incidents relating to impacts on persons' health caused by shadow flicker and noises created by the rotation of turbine blades, the possibility of blade fragments from damaged turbines flying significant distances and striking persons, animals, or property, and the potential for flying ice chunks in the event of an equipment malfunction during a freezing weather event, among other threats, create concern for the health, safety, and general welfare of persons in the vicinity of wind farms. Many studies have shown an inverse relationship between the number of wind turbines in an area and the direction of trend of property values in said area. While a number of factors may contribute to the nature and degree of such an impact, it's in the interest of Pulaski County government to protect property values, both as sources of public revenue and as investments held by landowners. Sandhill cranes are a tourist attraction in Pulaski County, and other flying animals, some with endangered or protected status, are known to inhabit this area because of the threats that rapidly rotating blades at the heights at which commercial wind WECS are built pose to these animals, particularly cranes, which attract transient dollars to the community. It is in the interest of the Pulaski County government to act proactively to protect these species.
So while you're looking at batteries, look at data center stuff too.
So, unless somebody asks me a question, so you all don't have to hear my voice anymore reading, this is obviously not clean. You've seen what our first copy looks like versus what our final copy looks like. It's not organized. There's duplicate language in here. I wanted to make sure you have the important language in here, so it's a start, so it's been presented in a public meeting, it's been heard by the public, it's on record. I know we have discussed it before, but I have not read it section by section as I have just now. So if you all have additional insight besides what you've already shared, I will clean this up drastically, add some of the things that you all have talked about. I will get you our combined charts tomorrow, and you will have another version of this by next week. And then if you have anything you would like to share that you've learned on what we just talked about to educate all of us, send all of us an email. Indiana code does state that we can't, if there's somebody that has information for the board, if you could bring it to me and I will forward it on to all of them. So they'll get it all at one time from me. And if you have anybody reach out to you, then direct them to me to make sure not just one or two of you gets it, but all of you get it.
So if we want to make this list of reasons for you, can we email it to
Absolutely.
everybody, or does it have to go to you?
As long as, so I don't know about the whole, you're in a quorum if you all are talking in an email. But if you send the email to all of us, just reply to the last email I sent you, do a reply all. And everybody just keep doing that, and then I'll consolidate all the data into one, unless you just want to send it directly to me, I don't care. Just don't talk back and forth in the email as a group.
Anything else in regards to this you wanted to bring up? All right, legit findings. So, no Facebook findings, legit.
I don't have Facebook. We're good there.
All right. Do we skip the adjusted meeting time because?
Oh, yeah, so with the adjust your meeting time, I know several of you had asked about moving the meeting up. BZA cannot, so basically that leaves you stuck. If you want to start at 8.
On the 20th.
On ever.
Oh,
The 20th can it be
But,
different? We're gonna be planting then, so it doesn't matter.
So you all know what my email, I had told you about our meeting for the 8th, so I will let the public know. So with, originally, April 6th was going to be a meeting date, so I had submitted a legal notice to the Journal for the 6th. And then on Friday afternoon, the 20th, the board had determined we wouldn't have a quorum, so Friday afternoon before our meeting that evening, I had emailed the Journal and said, I'm sorry to do this, can you cancel the notice? So then Friday evening, then when the board said we can do April 8th, I thought, well, the Journal still has the spot open. So Saturday afternoon when I was working, I emailed the Journal and I said, I'm sorry to do this to you. I appreciate it if you can squeeze this one in instead of the other notice that you had. Monday afternoon, they had emailed me back and said that they were not able to put the notice in. So that is an email that I had sent the board. So in light of Indiana code and our 10-day notice, I need your board to decide on a date. So the first day of publication would be April 8th and the 17th would be the soonest. So I had asked your board in the email about the 20th. Was that right? And the 21st? Monday and Tuesday? For your voting for the solar moratorium?
We already did that. Oh, no, that was battery, sorry.
No, you
Yeah,
agreed
that we
to
agreed to
have
extend.
me go to commissioners on Monday to request an extension.
It's 8:20, I'm getting tired.
Monday, the 20th?
Said it's 8:20, I'm getting tired.
Okay. Monday, the 20th, are you all okay?
what time?
We could do earlier.
If there ever is a day for something like this, because if we're just voting on the moratorium, you can make it 8:15 in the morning.
That'll work.
I can do that. I'll make it work. We have to, I think.
How long do that meeting will take?
Yeah.
Well, if you're, so I want to be fair and read the language in the moratorium. You know that I can talk fast for the most part. I can skip the legal thesis and thouists. depending on public comment. But since it's considered old business, you don't have to you don't have to offer old comments.
Can you get away, Tyler? I mean, with your business? I mean, it's gonna hurt for me at 8:15 in the morning. But I think for yourself,
Yeah.
You're all okay though with Monday, April 20th though?
yeah.
At what time?
I mean, what time works best for everybody then?
So like half-hour meeting, if, I know you can't
Yeah, that'd be noon before out of here.
guess public comment.
Well, because I mean, there need to be earlier or later.
Right, earlier or later. So like I said, so because a solar moratorium is technically considered old business, you can ask for public comment that only new information be brought to your board, since there's already been opportunity to speak on specific things.
So this meeting is only a vote for the solar moratorium?
Yes.
That's it.
And then we need to schedule one for like a week or two after that.
Oh, man.
So set aside an hour.
So start with Brianna, just go down on what time you could be available on the 20th.
8:15 works for me, but I can be somewhat flexible. It either needs to be first thing in the morning or at the end of the day.
8:15 a.m. or 4
I can
p.m.
do 4.
What do you want, Paul?
Skip it.
8:55.
I can't be
Darn
here.
it, you're right. Well, you could be at the county garage. I don't want to wait anymore beyond the 20th. If you can all be there in the morning, I would rather have the meeting than reschedule it again.
Would you promise us to be out of here by 9?
I don't know, ask them.
I can't be here at 8:15.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
What time could you be here, Mike?
8:30.
Well, he'd be here for the commissioner meeting at 8:30. So that's why we'd have to have it at the county garage.
Well, I can't be both places.
4 o'clock?
I can't be
Because-
there at 4 either. I got my bus
Do we
route.
even have a quorum?
Noon.
I can't.
Cannot do
I have a
I'm not
job.
doing it.
No.
Another day.
We had a noon
That whole
meeting today
job
at
thing is
4.
annoying.
Really? If it has to be in the morning, I'll be here in the morning. If it's in the evening, I'll be here in the evening.
How many can make it that morning?
What's that?
Like at 8:15, how many could be present?
Bob will be here as long as we're out by 9. I
As
can be
of
here.
right now, I can be here. That's as of this moment.
Rick, are you able to?
Yes.
8:15.
I know I can't.
Until my
So that
boss
makes
says.
5.5 of us if Bob didn't raise his hand.
I'll do 8:15, but I'm not gonna be here till noon.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, me neither.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Keeping it down.
All right.
8:15 it is. Except no mic.
Can he be here? Can he be here or no?
Kenny.
Bob.
He hasn't
Yeah,
been here
her
yet,
friend.
so.
I'm gonna message council.
This is what, meeting number 3?
8:15 it is, okay. Right?
What's that?
8:15,
8:15,
the 20th,
4:20.
4:20.
All right, I will send an email to the Journal tomorrow with a legal notice for a special session with a hearing on Monday, April 20th at 8:15 a.m. at the Pulaski County Highway Garage.
So you're gonna text us on Sunday and remind us, because I will not
I'll
remember.
text you on Friday, I'll text you on Sunday, I'll email you on Friday, I'll
Not
email
a
you on
chance I'll
Monday like
remember.
I do. Yes.
Okay. And we have time for public comment.
Good evening, Connie Ehrlich, and I just made a couple comments as we were going through Carla's proposed language on the battery energy storage. The only thing I'd caution you on page 5, when we talk about the farmland preservation, is to please keep in mind that if you're successful getting the cap of 8%, with the commissioners, that's already 17,800 some acres. So, and I don't think batteries and solar should be looked at two separate things. I mean, still taking away farmland and going against preservation of farmland. So please keep that in mind, and I certainly hope that you go for the ban, because I think we're already at a dangerous point where we've lost considerable acres to solar. The other thing I wanted to bring up was on the perimeter fencing. If we could make sure, Carla, that we put in there that any battery energy storage component includes the perimeter fencing, because I think you
Yes.
remember.
Yep.
that-
Yep. Absolutely. That is cut and paste language from the solar change, yeah.
Yeah, and then quickly, also, I know we allow that some of the property owners can waive the setback requirements, which is on page 8, number C. I think that should not be allowed, especially when it comes to batteries, because of the fire hazards of batteries and a lot of the unknown safety hazards. So I think that a waiver should not be allowed. And that's on page 8C, 7.30C. I think that should just come out altogether. Same page under fire safety. We talk about training and things like that, but there's no mention of equipment.
That could be, wait, on where? What page?
Same page 8, under 7.331A.
Oh, yeah. Not everything got cut over from that. I wanted to make sure we had the full header in here, just for them to know this is happening in the ordinance. And the setback requirement, I feel would be more for landscaping than, because I can guarantee that NEC will probably have a different requirement for fencing for the waiving the screening. I guess if it were setback, like I said, Connie, I cut and paste. This was way rough draft.
Yeah, but I don't like giving some of the property owners the ability to waive the requirements that the UDO has, because I think you put it in the UDO to protect people, and I don't think they should just have a carte blanche. And I know it's worded to waive on the setbacks and waive on the buffering, but I guess just want to say, please consider that going forward. Let's see. On insurance, I don't even know if these companies can get insurance, but we also need to look at the amounts that the county is covered and what we request, and it should be higher than what we require for solar. Because I think the fire safety threats are even greater than commercial solar.
Yeah.
Everything I've read anyway. That might be it. Let's see here. A lot of information to go through. Oh, and I guess one question for you when you do your research and when you do your tour, if you can ask, where can these batteries go at the end of their life? I know solar is still a problem, and there still isn't places for the solar panels to go, and I haven't seen any place where these batteries can go. I don't think they're recyclable. I know they're hazardous material, so I think that should be looked at as well. And
Your time is up, so
One fast thing,
Okay.
because this is important. On number 17, under remedies, A1, it says that under notice of breach and cure period, the only thing I would add is if the building inspector deems the project to be a hazard to safety to the public, that we do not allow them 90 days to continue. If it's a fire safety or hazard to the
Yeah.
public, it should be immediate. And that should be at the discretion of the building inspector. Thank you. very much.
Yeah, a safety, health hazard, fire safety, yes.
That should be immediate. I don't think you give them 90 days and put the public in.
Or is that just?
Not for
No.
that, no. That's when IDEM and EPA would come in.
Okay.
And
Can I say one more thing? The decommissioning bond, if you could remove the exception of excluding any materials that may be deemed to have a scrap value, because we don't even know when these projects will be decommissioned. And so to try to estimate now, 20 years from now or 5 years from now, what that scrap value may be, I mean, that's anybody's guess. So I think it should be just at what the decommissioning estimate is. And then if there's scrap value at the end, then you get credit. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ready? You feel like you have? No? Oh, I thought you had something you wanted to add. Anyone else? Public comment? Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Me.
All right. We'll see everyone the 20th.
Bring them down a second.
Whoa, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Did
we have
everybody
like
vote?
all of those.
All in favor?
All in favor? If somebody says no, we're done.
Can you flip your
I
mics
have a
off?
lot of,
You can put everybody else. Sorry.
things that I have been.
Oh, that, turn the lights off.
Every-
It's overwhelming, like.
Now, what I do